Alright, ladies and gents, for today's video, we are basically going to be going over my worst trades for this year. Let me get a drink real quick and I'll be right back. This year, my worst losses, I'm going to go through P&L and I'm going to sort it by, it was during September 2nd, we had a 3% loss. On the 1 minute time frame, we had a 1 minute IFEG. I entered way too late. And again, the market was pushing up higher, came back down, retraced, pushed up one more time, and then eventually started to slowly dump. The best entry would have been at 9:30 after this inversion fair value got formed with strong continuation, forming that change in the state of delivery, entering there and targeting these highs up here and going break even a little bit early. Once we started to see that strong displacement, reaching for this 1 hour, basically fair value gap. Again, just entering. This day was a little bit more tricky. We did also have no real SMT there. And then on the 30-minute time frame, you can see here we pushed up, came back down, and we should have waited for us to really just form something else. We were trading this second candle of the CRT. It kind of wasn't a CRT, if I'm being truly honest, but again, we did reach this, swept it, and then eventually started to look for lower prices. Again, a little bit more of a tricky day since the market did push up higher, then it came back down, so it created a strong V shape for bearish prices. Overall, the bias was correct, but the entry and the execution and the timing of it was incorrect here. 9:30 again, sweeping the lows, sweeping more external sell side also to then eventually push us up higher. So we had an internal and an external sweep, which again, very, very, very high probability to then look for a reversal, even though we had these bearish gaps, zooming out to the 1 hour and having that as our target to then push us up higher and reach for that. That would have been the better trade idea. On the 5-minute time frame, we had a small SMT here, and then eventually you can see here we had a 5-minute buy side imbalance. The market eventually did respect it, and again, we were just shorting, and the market just clearly was not bearish yet. And then we retraced once more to then eventually push down lower and then reach for these, not even reach for those lows. We probably had SMT at those lows, but yeah. And then on the 1 hour time frame again, we had a 1 hour CRT. Third candle would have been the better formation or timing for the entry. So again, just very, very unfortunate timing, and we did also respect that 1 hour sell side imbalance. As you can see there, we swept the previous candle high and we formed this CRT. 15-minute time frame, we had a 15-minute CRT, and then you can see here the 30 candle was yet to continue and push down lower to reach for that low. Again, SMT there, but it just really didn't get respected since we did also have a 15-minute buy side imbalance, which was yet to get inverse until around 11 o'clock or 10:45. So very, very unfortunate. As you can see here, no real SMT, I should say, but we did have this SMT fill with the fair value gap there. So again, very, very unfortunate loss here. Just timing and execution was incorrect. The 4 hour time frame, you can see here, was still inside of this previous candle's range, from the high to the low. We were trading inside more of a side of the premium, I guess you can say. But even then, on this market maker model, the sell model, we should have been looking for shorts around here, or after we inversed all this and just having a small retracement back up. This would have been the better area to short instead of just trying to catch a continuation. I realized majority of my losses, majority of my bad trades are just from continuation type trades, and I'm just not, I guess the timing of these continuation type trades, I'm just not really catching the right time. And that's something I did work on for going into November and December, and just something I'm reflecting upon right now. So yeah. And again, here, learning, we failed to realize the timing of the market wasn't really there yet, and we needed to be more patient. This trade was following the model, but we need to be more in control of our emotions when we were in the trade. But we can't be all over the place. Just sit and watch the charts and see which results we receive following the model. All the markets were in sync, so we could have waited for YM to form that CRT and inverse the fair value gap to then enter for shorts. So that's kind of what I was looking for here, I guess. Look, again, we had no real SMT there, if I'm being truly honest, but the market did fail to inverse this until around 10 and 10:30, no, till 10:45 and 11 o'clock on YM, and then that's kind of where we started to dump there. 3% back to back, so September 2nd and September 3rd here, we lost again. So this was again another one of my worst trades for this year during the month of September, and this is kind of where I started to reflect and go back and just think about, okay, how can I be better? How can I get better entries, better timing of these markets? And again, we had a 1 minute IFEG form, and we entered off of that, and the market came back down and eventually started to pump. More of a range bound condition here. Very, very unfortunate. On the 1 minute time frame, we did also not have SMT until later on throughout the day from 10 to 10:15. You can see we had SMT with ES and NQ. So again, just waiting for that, and that probably would have given us a better entry because we had a strong displacement, and we formed that inversion fairly up later on, and then you can see the market continue to the upside, and it met those highs. ES had this little bit of a low resistance, so low resistance liquidity on ES, and then eventually reach those highs and probably melt like butter on the other ones, probably higher. 30-minute time frame, we had no real confirmation. This is kind of why on here I have my confirmations that I look for nowadays. And once I was back testing, I realized like I need confirmations on certain time frames to give me the ideal timing of when to enter, and not be having these type of trades, I guess you can say. And so yeah, 30-minute, we didn't really have much 30-minute time frame, though. You can see we did what form some form of SMT and a cracking correlation here with these candles. If you advance, what you're looking at, and you can see something that I'm not going to give too much sauce, but you can see something that will give you a clear indication of why we entered at the wrong time. You can see we should have waited for around 10:15 to enter. So yeah, and then eventually here you can see on the 5-minute, we didn't really have much on the 5-minute, but you can see we swept the low, came back down, pushed up, came back down once more. We didn't sweep the low though, but ES did, and then we formed SMT, and then the market started to push up, came back down one more time, and then eventually pushed up and it topped off. On the 5-minute, we didn't really have much there, but on the 1 hour also, we didn't really have much. Only this 1 hour fairly gap, or these two 1 hour fairly gaps, I guess you can say, and a bullish order block, which was probably on the 4-hour time frame. But on the 15-minute time frame, we did have a 15-minute CRT, and we were entering on the second candle, when in reality we should have been entering on this third candle to open up, form that SMT there, and then eventually look for longs. So again, just timing was incorrect there. On the 15, you can see here what we had 15-minute CRT on NQ, while on ES we didn't have that. So, and then on the 4-hour, we had that 4-hour inversion and a bullish order block, and then eventually a 4-hour fairly gap formed after this candle close. So again, just timing was incorrect here, and that's kind of why we lost. If ES isn't forming a CRT or showing the sign of moving in the same direction with speed as NQ, don't take the setup, wait for it to be high probability on the confirmation time frame. So stop being sucked in the lower time frame. That's where most of our mistakes occur. Wait for the high conviction confluences to form to then trade, and be patient. You will be rewarded. So again, just take 3% L here. September 5th, I got like a little hair in my mouth. It's gonna be the third and final trade that we eventually took. So again, the first week of September was like by far one of the worst weeks, and that's kind of after like the second week I took off for like the third and fourth week, and I just like started reflecting really heavy, because again, I was blowing combines left and right, and I thought to myself, this isn't okay. I have a flaw in my system. What am I doing wrong? What can I do better? And then I started back testing, watching more videos, and just incorporating different things to build the system to be even more high probability. Again, this is kind of like the base of the system: the CRTs, the EBPs, internal arrays, market maker models, Power 3, those weekly profile, daily profiles. Those are very crucial to like understanding the narrative and the bias behind these trades. But again, you need to incorporate more advanced concepts, and only way to get to those concepts is through buying mentorships, studying other people and what they're doing correctly in the market, and just investing more into your education, I should say. So that's by far game changing. But also listening to those podcasts, listening to those psychological lectures of successful traders, hedge fund traders, all this and that, and really leveling up your mindset. Because again, you can have all the technical abilities, but when it comes to pushing the button or controlling yourself, you just fall short, and you wipe away all the profits and all the good results you have accumulated over time. So again, they're both really important. One isn't better than the other. So again, as of recently, during the month of December, I realized, like my psychological aspect needs to be worked upon, reflecting, going through these trades, but also, going through my journal and like my personal journal, and like reviewing my mentality, all these, very crucial, important things. Where am I at? Like how can I improve from a mental aspect to be more, patient, have more self-control, be more disciplined, and just, let that reflect upon the charts, by making better decisions, following the system more, and just being disciplined and following, trading it to then eventually yield the results. Because again, during that last week, I was really impatient, blowing combines again, not following my system, being impatient. All those bad habits were just leaking again, and they will creep up on you again, I promise you, if you don't have them in check and if you don't continue to have yourself in check. So that's why it's very, very crucial. But here on this last and final trade on the 1 minute, we had a 1 minute IFEG. And if you see from the higher time frame, you can see what we're just dumping. This was not a good trade. So we had a break of market structure. We had a 1 minute inversion for a layup, and then we had a 1 minute buy side imbalance. I entered off of that, thinking that, okay, this is a reversal. This is where the market's going to reverse, but this is all what a retracement to then eventually pushes down lower. So the first two trades were continuation type trades. This is more of a reversal type trade, which again, I fell short upon, just waiting for the right confluences and following the order flow, which again, earlier throughout the year, I had really, really hard issues, and it's only been 4 months locking in, and as of recently, I've been seeing better results, just journaling and understanding my mistakes. And this is why it's so crucial to journal, guys. Journal. And then eventually on the 30-minute time frame, you can see here we're just dumping, and we're entering off of this candle right here, thinking that, okay, this is the reversal, but you see the next candle is the reversal, and I entered a little bit too early. So yeah, we had a higher time frame for value gap. I was trying to enter off of that, but again, the market dumped so much. Usually whenever the market dumps a lot or pumps so much, usually after, you're not going to have much volume. As you can see here, the candle started to die out and we weren't really moving. So it's very, very important to catch these type of moves right here with these large candles. And yeah, these are like 300 point ranges, and very, very crucial to catch those. On the 5 minute time frame, no real confluences here on the 5 minute. If I'm being truly honest, you can see just low resistance being built up, and I thought, we're gonna melt butter, push up higher, probably reach for a unbalanced or rebalance, a fair value up, which in reality we didn't have one until we closed this candle, and that's kind of where we had one, and then that could have been your target to there to then eventually go for longs, I guess. On the 1 hour time frame here, you can see here we had a 1 hour candle range low. We should have waited for this candle to close and then eventually soup and then eventually look for longs. But we didn't do that, and of course we got entered a little bit too early. Timing again was incorrect. Timing usually was my biggest issue back then. As of recently, again, which is getting better and better. So we've been dealing with this problem, and being able to journal and reflect upon it, we know what we're doing wrong, and we're able to see the mistakes we're making and having that playbook of good trades of what we're doing right. So yeah. And then on the 15-minute time frame, I thought we had a 15-minute CRT, but you don't see it. But when the candle was printing, this is why it's so crucial to tape read, and to watch the market live instead of just back testing all the time. Because again, when I was watching this live, the candle was sweeping and swooping, I guess, this low, and you saw that inversion for up, and then you saw that bising, you saw that break of market structure, and then we entered off of that, and then the market just completely did not respect any of those confluences, and then eventually it closed below, disrespecting this potential advanced CRT. So again, entering on the advanced CRT, we got punished for it. On the 4 hour time frame, we had that 4 hour BISI, and of course we did close to the T, respecting it, and we also had one below. But again, that was pretty much really it. Learning here what we needed to wait for the confirmational CRT to form, since we were counter trend trading, which is crucial. We can't trade the advanced version no matter how clean the setup looks. We need confirmation. So you can see here we were entering a little bit too soon. Again, this 1045 candle swooped all this right here, and then we're pushing up, and then eventually you can see once 11 o'clock came around, we were just disrespecting it, and we never really respected these 1 minute confluences. So those were my 3 worst trades for this year. Hopefully you guys learned something. They were all during the month of September, and one thing I realized was, like, you need to be reviewing, you need to be studying, you need to be gradually improving yourself over time by reflecting, by journaling, and by understanding what you're looking for, and just watching, I guess reinvesting back into your education too, and just listening to those podcasts, watching those mentorship videos, learning from other people, and gaining new insights, collecting data, back testing it, forward testing it, and just seeing if you're improving over time, and that's really it. That's kind of what I did. I went back, researched, I was praying, and I was doing all these very, very crucial things. And I was asking God, like, bro, what am I doing wrong? What can I do better? Can you guide me? Show me the light at the end of the tunnel, bro. And, I was praying really, really, almost every other day. And I was just asking for wisdom. I was asking God to give me wisdom, to guide me, to show me the way. And he did, he showed me the path, and I've been blessed, to receive the results, receive the information that I have, and I'm making the most of it, and in 2026, I'm just going to continue to try to improve, try to get better, and, probably help others later on throughout the year if I start seeing good results, reinvesting back into the community. And yeah, that's basically really it. So